In these workshops, UNESCO, Nottingham City Literature and English Pen have brought us all together to be thinking about writing and justice. We've had speakers from English Pen talk about the work they do with writers in dangerous situations, incarcerated writers, and using these stories as a jumping off point, we've sort of been thinking about justice and how to approach notions of justice, injustice, censorship, things like that through our own writing.
Freedom Reads is a series of workshops for young people aged 14 to 21, exploring ideas around free expression, protest, and creative writing, and bringing them together to think about those topics and how we can discuss them in this day and age.
We have 20 young people from across Nottingham attending 3 events throughout August. Each event we have a different guest speaker.
What I've learned today is that these kinds of workshops are really accessible, like for people who like different forms of writing, so not even fiction writing, non-fiction writing, academic writing, prose, poetry, script writing, whatever.
I've come here because, well, again, I enjoy writing. It can help me. I don't write much at home, so it's always good to get out and get some writing done.
I've learned more about myself through the workshops, and also how to express myself, whether that's through the letters of solidarity or just through the poetry workshops with Josh.
I guess you kind of take freedom of speech for granted when you have it, and you don't really realise that there's people who have to fight for it. So I've learnt that, and I've learnt to appreciate it more and to be more empathetic towards people who don't have that.
I do quite enjoy the social sides of everything. So it's a good combination of society, politics, which you kind of have to touch on whatever you're doing, but that's the bit I know least about, so it's quite nice to come in and learn more about that. And also I do just enjoy writing creatively, so it's a good combination of that.
So this event is important to me because it's given me an opportunity to talk about the work that I do and to talk about it within a Nottingham context, because often black activism is seen as something that happens in other places. It happens in London, it happens in Birmingham, it happens in Bristol. And the history of black activism here in Nottingham often goes untold. And there's a rich history dating back to, the late 1940s. It brings to the fore that systemic and endemic racism exists. It's real and it's live.
Listening to people talk about these issues, it's definitely taught me a lot more of what's out there that I didn't realise. So Panya spoke today about the racism that her granddaughters faced, and they're very little, and I think it shocked me that such harsh experiences could be had for such young people. You kind of think as children as being out of this area of prejudice, and they're not, and I think that's something that needs to be looked at and fixed in society.
Freedom of expression is an ongoing conversation, and young people are very deeply engaged in that conversation. We need to be hearing their voices loud and clear, and this is a really great opportunity for us to be able to hear the voices of young people, hear their thoughts around what freedom of expression is, why it matters, and how do we best engage with it and ensure that freedom of expression is protected for all as we move forward.
Like I said before, I've sort of valued the opportunity to be kind of made uncomfortable where you feel my, political awareness has been sort of expanded a bit about how, writing can be put into political contexts. So, just all the different speakers have made me think about issues that I haven't really thought about before, which I think was a really pretty cool thing to have.
It's only recently that there's been some amazing historical work done over the last 10 years or so that has brought to the surface all these connections with slavery.
I think it's vital to talk to young people about colonial history in particular. The young generation that's growing up now is so fundamentally different to the white-haired generation at the other end. I was really impressed by the young people that I met. They were so engaged with the topic, and the questions they asked were some of the best I've ever had. and really made me think and got to the heart of the matter.
There's not a lot of workshops like this, and to have something that's in Nottingham, that's nearby, is really important to me because I feel like I have somewhere to go, and working with a group of people like this that have these similar interests and belief in terms of freedom of speech is really cool.
I think it's really important to get groups of young people talking about current affairs and issues that are really important today. So it's really great that we've got this space here where we can talk about things and do a deep dive into these difficult topics.
I feel extremely privileged to work with incredible writers from around the globe who are inspiring because of the work they do, for speaking truth to power, for doing extraordinarily brave things in the face of what I would perceive as dangerous situations, and championing amazing things around the world and continuing to do that and not giving up.
I think it's important for them to think about language and how powerful language is. That means how they use it, how language can be violent and hurtful, racist and obscene, and how language can be used for forces of good, and how young people can think about literature and history, and particularly of how we write and why we write, together, to think about how activists, for example, write things that are considered dangerous, that aren't always recognised in the moment of their writing.
It's really important for young people to come to events like this and to have a voice, because, you know, I don't want to put more burdens on the shoulder of young people, because I do feel that there is a lot of burden on their shoulders already. I think that they've inherited a world that isn't great, and that we, as the older generation, have done them a disservice. Having said that, it's important because they are the future, and they are the ones that can potentially make changes if they want to, or if they choose to. So I think it's important for them to be able to listen to people like me talking firsthand about my experiences, so that hopefully it not only informs them, but it inspires them to do good and to want to do good.